Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
How you doing, bud? You had a good Christmas, so as good as it can be?
Yeah, no, I really did. Ate a lot of food, obviously, pretty much too much, but
I know that feeling.
yeah, I love it. Every year that Christmas dinner.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, we managed to have a lovely spread at Ellie's parents' house, so it was quite nice. And then obviously we've had a lot of football. And before we get started, I'm just going to warn the listeners and those on YouTube that I'm running on fumes. I've had 3 hours sleep since 5 o'clock yesterday morning because me and Ellie thought it'd be wise to get a puppy. And yeah, he's kept me awake for most of the time. So this is going to be an interesting show, that's for sure, mate.
Bless him.
I know, yeah. He's good as gold. I love him already, but man, he kept me awake last night. Christ. Right, enough about dogs. Let's jump on to football. Obviously, we missed out on podding during Christmas, which was fair enough. We decided to do 15 and 16 today as a New Year's Eve special rather than obviously podding twice. So we'll jump back to Gameweek 15, do a quick overview, and then into 16, yeah?
Sounds good to me.
Brilliant. Right. If you can remember them, starting Gameweek 15 was Leicester 2, Man United 2, in quite a good game, to be fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, fairly decent game. Obviously, Harvey Barnes is a talking point. Very frustrating player to own or even to not own as well. Mainly due to the fact that Rodgers tends to bench him quite a bit and rotate him.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I loved Harvey Barnes to start. I think I even started with him at the beginning of the season. Now, suddenly, he's back in the team again, which obviously for those that held during that period from Game Week 7 through to Game Week 12, he was rotated so much, but he's played 390 minutes and won 83 minutes in the last 4 games. And obviously he's got 2 goals. So is he coming back into the fold now?
Potentially, but I've been stung a couple of times by Barnes, I think.
Yeah.
Not just this season. So I'm reluctant to go back. I think, especially being on Vardy, it's just too much for me. So I'm quite happy just with Jamie Vardy at the moment.
I know. I was strongly tempted by Barnes and Sky again. I mean, I went there at the beginning of the season, got burnt, left, got rid. I think you held him for quite a while as well. And I'm very tempted to maybe cover a couple of the Leicester fixtures, but we'll touch on that later because obviously the Premier League have been kind enough to announce a couple of additional fixtures just before we recorded, which has messed a few of our notes up. So that'll be a good one to talk about. On the other hand, obviously, Bruno returned again and Rashford, who has been a really good asset over the last couple of weeks, hasn't
he? He certainly has. Obviously, a couple of million cheaper than Bruno. I'd still probably prefer Bruno. I mean, I own neither, but Bruno would be the one for me anyway.
Oh, yeah. He's more of the creator, isn't he? I think Rashford's got 4 goals in 4 games, so it's not a bad return. But, yeah, I've seen a few teams with the double up. Don't blame them at all. But if you're on one, for me, yeah, Bruno. Obviously, having those pens definitely helps, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. Yeah, he's the thorn in my side, to be honest. But you've got to have one premium, and unfortunately for me, he's the one that's not in my team at the moment.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Don't get me wrong, I want him in.
Yeah, you've been saying that for a while, mate. He's consistently punishing you. Right. Let's then jump on to the next game of that week, and it was Aston Villa 3, Crystal Palace 0, and quite an easy win for Aston Villa, even though they had Mings sent off.
Yeah, I was surprised how well they did after the sending off. I thought Palace would come back into the game a bit more, but clearly not. The Villa went on, I think it was 1-0 when he got sent off.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, El Ghazi is worth mentioning. Obviously, a fairly cheap asset, and he's starting to deliver now. Fairly consistent returns. I don't know if he's guaranteed to have the pens when he's on the pitch.
It sounds like at the moment he is. From the comments he made, there's an agreement in place now that if he's on the pitch alongside Grealish, obviously this is without Trezeguet or Barkley in the squad, but yeah, he gets the pens. whether that's the case, obviously, when either of those two come back, whether he even keeps his spot, I'm not sure. But he's making himself very difficult to drop, given he's now got 4 and 3, which is a pretty sizable return, isn't it?
It is, yeah, 4 and 3, or even 5 in the last 5 if you look at it that way.
Yeah.
Whichever way you look at it, it's impressive, and I find it hard for him to drop him, to be honest, as you just said. So
agreed.
if you're looking at a cheaper option to Grealish, potentially, but option, I guess, maybe Watkins. However, his returns have been a bit more sort of sporadic, more kind of he had the hat trick. He had, I think it was 3 assists, I think.
Yeah, it was three assists.
But other than that,
in this game, yeah.
Other than that, he's been blanking a bit.
Yeah,
as Watkins. So maybe El Ghazi could be, with the pens, a better option than Watkins. But
yeah, I'd probably say so. Watkins, I think, has been frustrating for those that have owned him. Obviously, they got this lovely 3 assists return finally, but for me, yeah, he's not getting enough points to cement a striker spot in anyone's squad at the moment. 6.1 mil. You've got the likes of Bamford that are slightly more expensive, but are consistently at least returning now. Watkins before this game went on a run of, I think it was 5 blanks, obviously prior to the 2 goals against Arsenal. So for 6.1 million, I think that there are better options out there at the moment. Whether his form changes, who knows when Aston Villa's fixtures fixtures turn. But I wouldn't be on Watkins now, especially not with Man United, Tottenham, Everton and Man City to come. So
no, not a good time to get on him, I think. You definitely be one.
Not one for me. And another frustrating game for Grealish owners, consistently being the assister of the assist, really, creating so many chances that people wouldn't put away. And again, came away with a yellow card and no returns. So it's incredibly unfortunate.
Yeah, as an owner, I'm very frustrated. Sometimes you have your head in your hands as well with the chances he's putting on a plate for people.
Oh, I know.
And they're just not getting finished off. In a better team, I think he'd be an even better asset, but at his price, he's still a great asset, to be honest, in this game.
Oh, yeah. He will return big. I've no doubt about that. It's just I think it's been frustrating. I had him for this game week and then got rid of him in a wild card, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, if post these next 4 games, I think most people are probably going to want at least 2 Villa players back. They've got a really nice run after that. So Grealish will inevitably, he's still 39% owned, which is surprising, but that's only going to rise come, game week 20. Right.
Yeah, certainly will. Fulham, Southampton, what a good game, was it?
Fuck me. It was, honestly, I was so excited to watch this game, and it was boring.
Yeah, no, I don't know how I kept it on, to be honest.
It's disappointing. It was understandable because we were without Romeu, obviously, in the middle. We were without Danny Ings. Vestergaard, obviously, is injured for probably up to 6 weeks. So that whole spine was taken out of the squad, and you could tell. I mean, yeah, we scored, and it was offside, I think, twice. But we only had 3 shots in the entire game, which for us isn't great. And there were periods of the game where I just thought, why am I even watching this? And that's odd as a Saints fan, given how well we've played. But I think inevitable probably in this busy festive period because, one, we've got injuries, which, are always going to affect the squad. And Hasenhüttl's probably maybe even had a word and just be like, look, we'll be intense for periods. But in both this game and the game we'll talk about later, we drop off. The tempo drops off. It's almost as if we were then accepting of the point towards the end of this game.
I think so. I was pretty disappointed as well, to be honest. Expected a lot more from this game, and I feel like if we weren't playing Fulham, if we were playing a better team, I think we'd have put in a better performance. I know that sounds stupid, but I think we sometimes take the foot off the gas when we're playing sort of smaller teams. I think we're a lot more alert when we're playing better teams.
Yep, no, agreed. Yeah, the press, it's almost as if we want it more. We've got something to prove against, say, the top 6. But like you say, when we're against teams that are not necessarily lesser but lower than us in the table, it does show. And it showed that for season upon season, hasn't it? Like time and time again, we've seen an exceptional performance at home. We could beat like Arsenal 4-0 on a Boxing Day, which we've done previously. And then the week after would go like away to West Brom and we'd lose 2-0. So it's just something we've come to accept as Saints fans, really, haven't we?
We have. Yeah, it's the roller coaster for us,
Exactly.
I guess.
All right, let's move on to a far more exciting game that followed the Saints game, and that was Arsenal 3, Chelsea 1. Both surprising and something that I think Arteta has probably been after for quite a while.
Yeah, I did not see coming. Fair play to Arteta, under pressure, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And this result out the bag. Benched Aubameyang as well, quite a ballsy thing to do. But it worked.
Yeah, albeit I think Aubameyang was struggling with an injury, but like you said, he didn't risk him from the start. Dropped a few other players that have been in the wings, probably pissing a few people off if reports are to be believed. So the likes of Willian, Pepe, David Luiz, they're all kind of missing from the squad now, and Saka has definitely stepped up to the fold. I still don't think he I still don't think he meant the shot that he's kind of making us out to believe in his interview afterwards. It was quite clearly a cross that flies into the top corner, but they're going to take it, aren't they?
I was like, nah, no way did he mean it.
Exactly. It's funny. I think there's a video at the end of the game where he's clearly bragging about it. And then Tammy Abraham's on the other side, just being like, "Nah, shut up, mate. You didn't mean that."
yeah, that's it, isn't it? Shut up, mate. I think
yeah,
it says.
Funny, so funny. But
a lot of people are in off the back of this. I've seen quite a few people made the Grealish to Saka move.
They did,
which I guess time will tell whether that's a good move. But
I think for now it's understandable. Arsenal have got a good set of fixtures that if people wanted to attack, if you weren't then looking to necessarily use them for the double, if depending on your strategy. I think most people, even if you're either free hitting in 18 or whether you've got him now, a lot of people are going to own Saka. Like at the moment, he's 4% owned. That's going to rise massively come game week 18 when we've got the free hit. They're home against Palace. I expect he'll play, and I think he'll return.
I imagine so, and I think the main thing that draws you in is the price. You can save at 2.5 mil on a Grealish with Saka.
Oh, God, yeah.
So that money is obviously needed to get the likes of Bruno, KDB, Son, whoever you want.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To have
these sorts of moves.
To have Saka as an asset right now at his price is unbelievable. I mean, we might have to pay 0.2 more when it comes to the free hit, but I'm still going to take that. It's an unbelievable price.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the price rises. Even if he can go right up to 5.5, and he's still a good player.
Exactly. Obviously, Chelsea were terrible for most of the game. They gave Arsenal a bit of a scare towards the end. They obviously got the pen, which they missed. Tammy Abraham got his goal after VAR overruled the offside decision. So it could have been 3-2 at the end, but something's not quite right at Chelsea at the moment. It just feels a bit off. The likes of Timo Werner just look bereft of confidence. Lampard's trying to change things up a bit. It's not working.
I don't think it helps the way they keep rotating the strikers. Like Abraham and Giroud. I think they could do with a bit of continuity. I mean, I guess he's doing it due to the sheer amount of fixtures they've been playing.
Yeah.
But I guess it kind of disrupts the sort of rhythm for the team.
Agreed. Yeah, I think.
Looking like trying to think of who it is. Like he's putting out the same 11. Is it Villa? Is it?
Yeah. Smith continuously puts out a very similar. I think he even made a comment about the fact that he's not going to rotate over the festive period because he thinks his players are fit enough. And I guess it's similar with Saints. We rarely rotate massively because we've got quite a fit squad. And then obviously we saw with Leeds the other day. And we'll talk about their performance yesterday, the day before. I can't remember, honestly. It's been that little sleep. But I think he only rotated one player. And it shows, they can go out and put out a performance. So why Chelsea feel the need to then rotate a lot, it's only Lampard knows.
Yeah, ultimately players want to play. So I think it's only a good thing, really, to to keep playing that same 11, getting the rhythm, getting the results.
Yeah.
Um,
If
but yeah, we'll see how they get on.
if you were Lampard, which of the two strikers would you choose out of Giroud and Abraham?
Giroud, I think.
Yeah, same, exactly the same. I think he's clinical. He's a target man, and players work well around him.
Yeah, especially against Arsenal as well.
Oh God, yeah. Right, let's move on to a game that most of us expected holes for KDB. I captained him in this particular game, and then we got nothing. I mean, the weather was atrocious, but it ended up being Man City 2, Newcastle 0, thanks to Gundogan goals, Gundogan and Torres. So frustrating.
Yeah, fellow captaincy from me as well. Yeah, I was tearing my hair out watching this one. Just not working for KDB right now. They look like they really kind of lack like cohesion at points. Like it looks like they don't understand what KDB's trying to do sometimes.
Agreed. Yeah, he
Like
looks.
they're not running for him. They're not getting into good positions. Like he'll whip a pretty good ball in, and then there'll be no one moving towards the ball.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating to see. He's got
He
the
looks.
right idea.
No,
But he's working
absolutely.
with people not on the same wavelength, not of the same quality as himself.
No, he looks frustrated at times, doesn't he?
Oh, he really does. Like, you can see how pissed off he is. Like, and sometimes in the past, he's been known to just sort of take it himself, have a pop shot from just outside the box, and twat one in,
Yeah.
and then that's brilliant. But I think he's been a bit more patient, trying to be patient, but chance after chance that he creates is just not being put away.
No, exactly. And perhaps, part of this is the fact that City kept another clean sheet. And I think genuinely that there's a real focus on the defence by Pep at the moment, continuing that run of clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. And going forward, it might be affecting them. They don't seem to be hitting teams as quickly as they did, in previous seasons. There was times in this Newcastle game where it looked like they could hit them, 4v2, and they slowed the ball up, started passing it in the back. Newcastle got back into position. I think one player that really stood out for me was Cancelo. I've got him in Sky. I don't have him in FPL, but he could have easily had 2 or 3 assists had City been clinical.
I think so. I'm very impressed with them actually defensively. I mean, I'm glad I own Diaz because they are looking pretty tight at the back.
Yeah.
And as you say, it may be the detriment to them going forward as well. I think they're not as exciting as they used to be to watch as well going forward. I feel like they missed David Silva quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot of people obviously were saying with the Foden thing, and it continues to just not get minutes. I think he got 3 minutes in this game. I'm sure he got brought on towards the end of the game, which is mad. And everyone was like, Foden's the clear David Silva replacement. But the way that they're now setting up, I don't think he can be. And they are definitely missing that kind of talisman other than KDB that can gel the attack and defense together. Whereas obviously KDB isn't really going to be that player on his own, and it's proving really difficult for him.
Yeah, I think he needs someone to work with him essentially. And David Silva used to be that. Like they used to work well together.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, it's just not clicking. They need to do a signing. I think, to be honest, they need to sign an attacker or at least try and play Foden a bit more.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like they've got all this talent. They've got Mahrez, Foden, who aren't getting games at the moment. Obviously, they're rotating between Jesus, Sterling, Ferran Torres. Obviously, we've got Aguero back fit now, or as fit as he can be. So it's not like they haven't got the talent. It just isn't gelling, which is really weird. But obviously, the fixture announcement, which we'll come on to later, now means that City have got a double game week. So inevitably, we're all going to steam back into KDB and probably captain him that week, unless Sergio Aguero pops up. But that would be a huge risk.
Oh, I think so. I think I'm staying away from Aguero, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not confident with his sort of match fitness and even selection. Obviously, with a double, you want a player to be in both games. I think he'll probably play at most one.
Yeah, agreed. Gone are the days of the Aguero getting 5 goals against Newcastle. So
yeah, Shall we talk about Sheffield United Everton?
Yeah, not a lot to say about this game, to be honest. I didn't think it was great. I only seen the highlights, and the highlights weren't particularly thrilling. Obviously, Siggy popped up with a goal, Decore assist. Doesn't really affect anybody in FPL, to be honest. And I think the one real kind of letdown at the moment recently, I mean, I guess you could say it's a letdown given his form at the start of the season. For me, it's been DCL. I got rid of him for Bamford, and in a way, I'm kind of glad I did because he's had 3 assists in his last 4 games. Yeah, fair enough, but it's not the DCL we were seeing where he was getting 1, 2, 3 goals a game, and for long periods looking like he could score. Whereas in this game, I don't even recall a proper chance for him.
Yeah, I expected a lot more from Calvert-Lewin in this game. I held him, I had him for this game, but I transferred him out swiftly after this game.
Yeah.
I expected, or at least wanted, 1 goal and thought I'd be on for 2, or a goal and an assist.
Yeah.
But yeah, one pointer from that fixture just was a final straw for me. Obviously, I took him out my team for Bamford, which turned out to be a decent move because DCL didn't even play. Bamford did. Bamford got, was it an assist?
2 assists in the recent
Yeah,
game.
yeah. One questionable one, but then it got given. So I'll take it.
No, exactly. Yeah, like obviously I had Bamford for this game week, and I was really worried, or for game week 15, and I was really worried, obviously, when DCL played on the Saturday for Boxing Day. When he didn't get a single return, I fancied Bamford against Burnley, and obviously that's the game we'll come on to next. And Bamford got the goal, but it was a pen that he got, and he stepped up to most people's surprise rather than Click. And he explained at the end of the game that even though Click had taken, the pen and scored the previous game, because he had missed the original pen before it got retaken, they had agreed between themselves that when one person misses, the other one then takes it on the run before he misses. So he was told by Click to step up, take it, and he slotted it away. And then he got 2 bonus points as a result as well. So, yeah, I did pretty well from Bamford in this game.
That made me bring Bamford in, to be honest. Knowing that he's now on pens until he misses one, I was like, well, it's a no-brainer to bring him in ahead of West Brom. He's got a double.
Yeah.
It saved me a bit of money on DCL as well. So all in all, a good move.
No, definitely. And I mean, it was one hell of a pen as well. He didn't look short of confidence when he stepped up and he smashed it in. So, if he's going to be taking pens, hopefully for the rest of the season, if he doesn't miss, then it's just another reason why most people are going to jump on Patrick Bamford. However, Burnley played exceptionally well in the second half. A lot of people had a feeling that it'd be a difficult game for Leeds because Burnley are the type of rugged, dogged team that, you're going to cup up against. Sean Dyche's going to drill them well. And they were targeting Leeds. I mean, they should have had a goal. How Barnes' goal has been ruled out for a foul on Meslier is ridiculous. Meslier, I think it was on Ben Mee. Meslier actually does the foul himself in the box, jumps up, punches it, completely misses the ball, and just takes him out. And then he gets a foul given for him when, in fairness, if you look at it from another perspective, it could have been a pen to Burnley.
Well, yeah, they had a perfectly good goal ruled out there.
Yeah.
So I think obviously Leeds owners, defensive owners, got off lucky there.
Oh, massively. I had Meslier in goal for this, and it was a very jammy, clean sheet. You
have Eiling as well.
Yeah, he got 6 saves as well. I mean, it just shows how well Burnley were playing. They were peppering him at times. They were such a difficult team to deal with from every set piece. I genuinely thought, oh, that's it. Burnley are going to score here. And Leeds managed to hold on. So for those that, had Leeds defensive options as well as Bamford, we did really well out of this game. And perhaps quite fortunately.
I'd say so.
Right, let's jump on to quite an end-to-end game. I enjoyed watching this one, which was a surprise, was West Ham 2, Brighton 2. And Thomas Souček obviously stepping up and getting another goal is a very valuable, cheap midfield asset.
I contemplated bringing him in before this game week. I was going to do Lookman to Souček, and I would have started Souček, but I didn't do it. But there we go.
Should have, would have, could have.
He's yeah, exactly. He's one that ultimately I do want to replace Lookman with.
Yeah.
However, I may be using. I don't know. I could probably do the 0.5 of a downgrade of Lookman to a 4.5 that I won't play.
Yeah, it's there's some tricky decisions to be made. I've brought Souček into my wild card, which you'll see shortly. But yeah, he's a real valuable asset. It's just the tricky one. I've seen a lot of people bench him, and there's rightfully sometimes because he's your fifth midfielder at the end of the day for a lot of teams. So it's tricky, but it hurts even more when he steps up to these corners or there's a cross swung in and he gets on the end of it. And the other one obviously that returned for West Ham was Johnson, obviously at 3.9 million. A lot of people were immediately like, oh, Ben Johnson, he's the one to be on. Quite a few people bought him, and then he was out of the squad entirely for the game week just gone. So
yeah, you want to give him a bit of a chance to sort of see if he's going to get a run in the team.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't exactly expect him to be nailed, but you want to see sort of a run of sort of 5 out of 7 games where he plays.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not really worth bringing in, especially during like a double game week sort of time. You're better off going for paying a bit more and getting like Ogbonna, someone who will start both games.
Yeah, agreed.
Ogbonna starts most games, but he is 5 million, so obviously quite a difference in budget there.
Yeah, and obviously West Ham are probably going to be targeted by a lot. For the double, I've targeted them at the moment. They've got Burnley at home and West Brom at home. Arguably, other than Man City now, who now have a double, I think West Ham are probably got the second best set of fixtures. So a lot of people are going to be on double, maybe even triple West Ham. So the likes of Souček, Ogbonna, Balbuena, maybe even Antonio, now that it's looking like he's slowly coming back to fitness. I wouldn't jump into him just yet. Maybe give him this week to see how he fares, and then, we'll jump in maybe the following week. But I think West Ham are going to be a really good option for that double, and I expect a lot of these players to be quite highly owned.
Agree with that. Very tasty fixtures for West Ham. Antonio, obviously, someone who we're not thinking about at the moment, but no. I think he's the sort of player that when he comes back into the team, fires away almost immediately.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Give him 1 game at most, and he'll be back in the action. He's such a strong, talented player. Like he's very clinical, and he can score a scrappy goal. He can score a great goal. I think West Ham need him. I think whilst Haller's been good in the air and a good target man, I think they need that kind of raw pace and energy that Antonio brings to the game.
Yeah, no, agreed. And Antonio was a prime Sky player, obviously at the start of the season, dropped off after his injury. But I think quite a lot of people are going to be bringing him in again because he's a very cheap midfielder in Sky, surprisingly. And he just allows a load of room to jump on some more premiums. So I think we'll expect his ownership to start to increase in Sky again. As for Brighton, it's another game where they don't get a win. And they're drifting into that relegation battle.
They are. They're very inconsistent at Brighton. When I write them off, they start to play okay again. And I really don't know what to expect with Brighton.
No, well,
nightmare if you were betting on them.
Oh, absolutely. I heard a stat. I think it was from James at Planet FPL. I hadn't realised Brighton have only won once at home this entire calendar year, and they've only won 5 games in total this year. But I think it was 16 games he mentioned that they've drawn, which is baffling. It's not enough at the moment for Brighton, and a lot of people are now starting to get on Potter's back a bit. In the Slack channel that I'm in, there's quite a few people, Brighton fans, that are pretty miffed about the way he's setting his squad up, about the decisions that he's making. It's not going well.
No, I don't think it is. I think what's happened to Gross? Is he still playing?
I think that's one of the many questions that Brighton fans are asking at the moment. It's not good. Not good at all. So, yeah, Brighton, they need to kind of up their game a bit, or at least make some decisions behind the scenes that are going to positively affect the way they're performing. Obviously, they've dropped Matt Ryan now as well for Sanchez. I think Ryan's come out now and said that he's actually free to leave in January. So
Oh,
something's gone on.
wow.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a few things behind the scenes, I think, at Brighton that aren't quite right. Right, let's jump on to the penultimate game of that game week, and one that took a lot of us by surprise. It was Liverpool 1, West Brom 1.
One game that I planned on watching behind the sofa, but thankfully Salah didn't perform. I think we had some connection problems there.
I think we did, yeah. We should be back.
Yeah, so disappointing for Mo Salah. I thankfully didn't own him, but he was unlucky, in fairness to him.
Oh, yeah. He missed a couple of good chances. It was frustrating as an owner to kind of watch him not perform as we expected him to. And you know, West Brom didn't really have to defend all that well, in my opinion. Like, Sam Johnson only made one save. So against Liverpool, you'd expect Johnson to be hauling just from save points alone. So to only have to make one save in the entire game, I think that probably even took him by surprise.
That's a very, very good point, actually. I think they were very sloppy. Just everything they did was sloppy.
Yeah.
Liverpool giving the ball away easily. Just, I guess, made it easy for West Brom to defend. So they had, like, obviously, they're two banks of four from pretty much the majority of the game. They defended well, and credit to West Brom for that. They did a job on them, really. They got a point away at Anfield. Very good point. I don't think Bilic's
performance.
yeah, exactly. I don't think Bilic's West Brom would have done the same.
No,
I think they probably got spanked about 2-3 nil, to be honest.
Yeah. Genuinely, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Like, Bilic's team wouldn't have gone to Anfield and got a point. Can't see it at all. And then obviously Matip got the assist and then was taken off in the 59th minute, which what looks like another long-term injury for him. So a lot of people had jumped on him, I think, particularly in Sky. He was only 2% owned in FPL, but he was a real option for Liverpool moving forward, and now that's kind of been taken away from people.
Yeah, a lot of centre-backs out now. Obviously, no Van Dijk, no Matip, no Gomez.
No.
So then you got the likes of, I forgot his name. That's the one coming in. Obviously, very cheap for the game. However, is he going to start both games in the double? Probably not. They'll probably pay Fabinho, maybe at centre-back, or another midfielder at centre-back. Someone even suggested they wouldn't be surprised seeing Henderson at centre-back.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. I think even Henderson has stepped in there as and when he needs to. So yeah, will Phillips play both games? Or, I mean, I wouldn't like to call it at the moment. So yeah, I wouldn't be jumping on Liverpool defensively other than the obvious Trent and Robbo. But I think the centre-back options at the moment have kind of been taken away from us.
Yeah, I think they have. So yeah, it's a bit risky to go for one of them with the doubles coming up.
Yeah. Right, and then finally, the last game of Game Week 15 was obviously Wolves 1, Spurs 1. And quite a cagey affair that Wolves then grew into in the second half and then cost Spurs some real problems.
Yeah, another good performance for Wolves. Very disappointing from their style for owning Son and Kane. I didn't expect a lot, but I expected something. Maybe a goal or assist from either of them.
See that Indom Ballet goal in Ben Davies' assist. It's not really what you wanted to see as a double Spurs owner.
No, exactly. One of those classic useless FPL goals where you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. The equivalent of like a Gundogan goal with a Kyle Walker assist for when you own KDB and Aguero. That kind of thing. Bullshit. But it's worth noting, Neto, another assist for Neto. He's looked really good recently. Played some good football. I think I have overlooked him this season. It's only really come to my attention the last 2 or 3 game weeks.
Oh yeah, I think he's a if you're going to jump on a Wolves asset, Neto at the moment is the one to own. He looks the one with the most drive and passion to perform at the moment for Wolves and try and be that kind of spearhead in attack. Obviously, they've got the young lad up top there alongside Podence. I think Neto is kind of stepping up and just trying to pull the team forward. And it's being proven at the moment. He's getting the returns. He's got 4 goals and 4 assists now this season. It's not bad for a cheap Wolves midfielder. And I think that's only going to improve as the season goes on.
I think so. Excellent performance from them again. Shall we talk about our team?
Yeah, we can quickly drive over it, seeing as we would have mentioned it. I got 59 points that week, which was very useful, given the average was 41 points. It was the start of 2 really good green arrows for me. Partly down to Leeds, in fairness. Obviously, I got 17 points in the end from Meslier and Ayling, which drove that forward, and then Bamford's 8. Bruno, 12 points was massive, given a captain Salah. It could have been even better because Salah only got 4, and KWP performed really well again. So, yeah, I think that 59 points kind of clawed me back to being within touching distance of yourself, and then we'll find out what's happened after game week 16 shortly.
We certainly will. This game week was another red arrow for me. So the second red arrow consecutively. You'll see what happens in game week 16 to my team as well.
Yeah.
So 45 points for me in game week 15. Martinez bringing home the bacon, to be honest, with 10 points. Kyle Walker-Peters as well, performing well for me with 8. A disappointing captaincy with Kevin De Bruyne on 6. Clean sheet for Diaz, and the rest is kind of a sea of 1s and 2s and 3s. Yeah. Jamie Vardy, I guess, an assist. I'll take it. So an okay week, above the average, but nothing special. And a red arrow.
Staying above the average is key, I think.
I think so. I like to aim for 60 points, so I'm a little bit short of that, but we move on.
We do. Right, let's jump straight into game week 16, the week that's just gone. And obviously this was FPL Cup qualification as well, so quite an important week for a lot of players. Yeah, sorry about that. We'll jump on. So, in fairness, a very heavily rotated game week, which we've all seen. Obviously, the games were on Prime Video, so that we had a choice, particularly on Tuesday just gone, of quite a lot of games at the same period. But yeah, we'll start with Crystal Palace 1, Leicester 1.
Yeah, obviously a very, very interesting team selection. Vardy benched. Palace did a reasonably good performance, but Zaha, another goal. I mean, that's worth mentioning against Leicester as well.
Yep. Really good goal as well.
Yeah, exactly. So potentially someone that's being overlooked. Obviously, he's got Sheffield United next, which is obviously a great fixture for Zaha. Captainable, I'd say. Yeah. After that, the run is a bit tougher, and they don't double. So really, I guess Zaha would be a 1 week punt for this week, I'd say.
Yeah, I've actually got Zaha in my transfer planner at the moment. Is a view to look at him from game week 22 onwards. They've got Newcastle, Leeds, Burnley, Brighton, and Fulham as a run of 5 games. So yeah, at the moment, Zaha is an option for me looking in the future, but I think it's mad to try and plan too far ahead, given that the current, pandemic times, which we'll touch on shortly. Obviously, we had 2 games postponed this week. Whether we get any more postponements this weekend, I'm not sure. It doesn't seem like the Premier League are keen on it, and they might have found the source of why we had the outbreaks. So hopefully they might have things back under control. So plan slightly maybe, but don't force transfers at the moment. Obviously we had another Barnes goal. Quite a really good finish, to be fair. I think it took Gaita by surprise, which is why it ended up in the back of the net. And then like you said, Vardy was benched. Ian Archo stepped up for that pen and missed it.
Yeah, fucking typical. Obviously, you see Vardy laughing on the bench.
Yeah.
He was laughing
Yeah.
before it got given, obviously. Not laughing after the pen miss. But yeah, that's a painful one for me because I have Vardy been on the pitch. Obviously, I'm looking at probably a goal, free bonus, and a decent amount of points.
Yep.
But with the rotation, it's just one of these things.
Yeah, no, exactly. Right, let's jump on to another game that didn't really inspire me, to be honest, was Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 1, and another El Ghazi goal.
Exactly. We just mentioned him about 20 minutes ago. Pops up again. Great, fantastic returns from him recently. I mean, we slagged him off a few weeks ago because he had a terrible miss. Grealish put a chance on him on a plate for him. And I think he does still have a few tame efforts on goal sometimes. But at his price, I think, providing he's playing each game and with the option of potentially pens, potentially bring him in.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, like we've said before, if you want to risk it, then I think he's an option. I wouldn't bring him in at the moment with the fixtures that they've got, but if he still keeps his place, say after these 4 fixtures, providing Villa, maybe picked up a couple of returns, and then the likes of Barkley's come back and he's still keeping his place in the team, then yeah, maybe from game week 20, he's probably a real viable option and a real differential at the moment. He's still only 3% owned, so. Obviously, Giroud scored for Chelsea. We both said that we prefer Giroud to Abraham, and he stepped up, got the goal. Ben Chilwell got the assist. The man that seems to have defied this 2-week injury that made a lot of people take him out. Turns up with an assist, and at one point probably looked on for a clean sheet, 3 bonus points as well.
You see his chance as well. He nearly scored.
Oh, he did. Oh, it was an unbelievable.
Bit of spin.
Yeah.
But just went past the post. I thought it was in.
Oh, glorious.
Potentially one we're overlooking here. Chilwell obviously performed well these last couple of months, but after a few games where he obviously missed out and then the injury, people are not talking about him anymore.
No.
And I think if you don't own Zuma, I think he's a good option.
Yep. No, agreed. And obviously this is another game where Chelsea dropped more points. Lampard didn't look too pleased on the touchline, and I don't blame him. And I don't blame Chelsea fans at the moment for being disappointed with the way the last few weeks have gone.
Right, yeah, exactly. A loss against Arsenal and a draw against Villa. They probably saw these 2 games and expected 6 points.
Yeah. To come away with 1 out of 6 is poor for Chelsea.
Very, very poor. I mean, an out of form Arsenal and Aston Villa at home, they should be getting at least 4 points out of those 2 fixtures.
Yeah, agreed. Right, we'll jump on to Brighton 0, Arsenal 1. And obviously the grudge match from last season when Brighton got the winner over Arsenal. Arsenal have gone there and kind of rectified that and got the win themselves.
Another return for Saka.
Yep.
Who we spoke about obviously earlier. Another goal for Lacazette, worth mentioning as well. A clean sheet as well, a rare clean sheet for Arsenal. We don't see them often.
We don't.
I wouldn't be going for Arsenal defenders just yet.
Holding was the reason that I've qualified in the Sky Cup again this week, because I took the gamble in my kind of B team that's become my cup team in Sky of bringing Holding in. Just as a punt, after the cancellations of the City games, and yeah, I did well with him because he got the clean sheet. I think got 9 points in the end. I think he got passing tier 1 as well. So,
fair play! What a good move! No wonder why you're flying.
Oh, I was so happy, honestly, buzzing, and yeah, I think I won the Sky Cup by 8 points. So he's made the difference.
Yeah, there's only about 4 or 5 rounds left, I've noticed.
Yeah, there's 128 teams left.
Yeah, right. We'll touch on that in a minute.
Definitely. Right. Moving on then to, in fairness, this week was pretty shit. Just looking at these games and remembering the games, it was the only one that really stood out was the Leeds 5-0 against West Brom. But we'll jump on to Burnley, Sheffield United. And as expected, Burnley won. It was a 1-0 affair. Sheffield United didn't really do anything in the game, and I think they're relegated.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, 2 points in what is now nearly January
Yeah,
is it's not good.
not at all.
I mean, they need to win 4 games back to back to be on 14 and be kind of barely above, probably still in relegation zone, to be honest, because teams around them are probably going to pick up something in 4
Yeah.
games. So at the very least, they need to pick up some form quickly and fast. I think they definitely need to do some signings, and they've only really talked about loan signings. And I think they need some actual proven quality in their team, Premier League quality.
I just don't think it'll be enough. I don't even know if it's worth them. I mean, obviously for Sheffield United fans to see it, the way it's deteriorated this season must be heartbreaking. But is it even worth going there and spending the money on loan signings in January to potentially still inevitably get relegated? Or would you look to then just build for next season in the Championship, aiming to come straight back up?
I think they have to go one way or the other. I think half-heartedly spending 2, 3, 4 million on some loan signings is not the way to do it.
No.
I'd say either just don't strengthen at all. If anything, even potentially sell some people while they're still in the Premier League.
Yeah, when they're worth yeah.
Or go the other way and invest heavily on the basis of securing, obviously, the Premier League TV money next year and all the money that comes with being in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But they need to invest heavily, I'd say. Well, mainly in a striker, I'd say. Just they need someone to finish.
I know, it's mad. Like they spent all this money on Ryan Brewster, and he just we've said before, he looks so lost.
Yeah, he's not delivered. It was a bit of a risk to spend that amount of money on a young, essentially unproven player.
Yeah.
He obviously had the rep with being with Liverpool in their academy and so on. But looks like a bad decision now, to be honest, when you got better strike like Callum Wilson. Imagine if they went for, obviously, he'd probably go to Newcastle over Sheffield United.
Yeah.
But those sorts of players are out there.
Yeah, they are, exactly, at very similar value, and they've missed the boat, really. Whereas obviously Burnley, they got the clean sheet that, I think Dyke would have expected in this game. Ben Mee obviously stepped up with a goal. He got one hell of a return. Obviously getting his goal, his clean sheet, and 3 bonus points. If anybody was on him, there's not even 1% of the game on Ben Mee, but that 0.9% got 15 points from him in this game.
Very impressive returns for me.
Not bad at all. I brought Lowton in for the run, obviously with Burnley's fixtures. He's only 4.4 million, so I can't complain about that. And obviously the downside of this game was Charlie Taylor going off very early.
Yes, it was. Who I brought in, I think, 1 week before this game week, with this fixture in mind as a clean sheet, which I didn't get because he went off obviously injured. And now he looks like with the hamstring, he's probably going to miss potentially the double game week.
Yeah.
So now I've got to waste my transfer this week, taking him out, and I'm probably going to go sideways to Lowton, save myself, 0.1 million.
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
It's a boring but sensible move, I think.
Well, yeah, particularly with they've got that double. I know it's both away, West Ham away and Liverpool away. So, in fairness, I'm not even expecting clean sheets from that game. But I've got the Burnley player for the double in case they get a clean sheet against West Ham, and then that they put up a resolute performance against Liverpool. But because I'm bench boosting, I kind of felt that I need to target as many double game weekers as possible. There might be other options out there with better fixtures for the single game week, in fairness. But yeah, if you wanted to make that move sideways, Lowton's probably the one to jump on.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't have the fixture against Fulham, I'd be tempted to go for someone else, maybe another West Ham player.
Yeah.
But that fixture is really appealing.
And
I own Lookman, but I fancy a Burnley clean sheet more than a Lookman return, to be honest. So that's why I need to replace Taylor.
Yeah, I think Burnley are going to stifle Fulham as well.
Yeah, no, I just can't see. I mean, besides law, I'll do the transfer and Lookman would be first on my bench with a goal. But
most likely.
We'll see how it goes.
God, yeah. Do we have to talk about the next game? Jesus Christ. Another dull 0-0 performance for Saints. It was Southampton 0, West Ham 0. And in fairness, I actually thought West Ham were going to come out eventual winners because the attacking substitutions that they made in the second half seemed to make a big difference. You know, Ben Rama came on, Bowen came on, even Antonio made an appearance, and I was worried.
Very, very bad game. And yeah, agreed. I think West Ham were getting the better of us in the second half. We did well to sort of hold on, especially we've missed Vestergaard, I think, at the back in terms of his sort of composure and leadership and his passing ability as well for a chance creation. But we've got the clean sheet. So we haven't missed him too much. We've not been like, we've put in some obviously horrific defensive performances in the past that they like to mention quite often.
Yeah.
But a point against West Ham, I don't think it's too bad.
No, it's not bad. I think the frustration for me was the fact that West Ham rotated. And to start the game, we looked quite sharp. We looked on it. And then we just kind of slowly became more and more deflated and a bit more lethargic. And I guess it's expected given the tempo we try to put up, you know, in such a short turnaround. I expected us to maybe take the foot off the gas a little bit, but I didn't foresee the fact that we weren't going to look that positive going forward. I mean, obviously, Che Adams got taken off before the 60-minute mark. I felt for him, though, because obviously, did you see the Dawson basically using Che Adams
in the head?
Yeah, man.
Oh, dear. You see, he tweeted about it afterwards.
Yeah. Poor sod. But how he didn't get concussion from that, I've no idea. It's one hell of a thump.
Yeah, he didn't go down.
No.
Fair play to him. He just got straight back up. Looked a bit confused.
Yeah, he
carried on.
What the fuck was that? Like, just been smashed in the back of the head. But yeah, other than that, I think that was probably the highlight of the game. In fairness,
Yeah,
it was the moment of the game at least. The one thing that's annoyed me in the game is I'd definitely prefer to see Armstrong play ahead of Gineppo. I've not been that inspired by Gineppo this season.
No, he's reminds me of what's his name? Not Kufal, Bufal.
Yeah.
In terms of like he's good. He can go past a player, can go past two players, but his kind of end product and delivery is a bit lacking.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And obviously with Redmond out injured at the moment as well, we're kind of lacking a bit of creativity on the wings. There's a nice partnership going on the right. Obviously, when we play two up top with Adams and Ings, you've got then Walcott and Kyle Walker-Peters. Looks brilliant at times, really does. But on the left, Bertrand hasn't really got that relationship with anyone at the moment. When Redmond isn't there, or even if Armstrong steps in, or Walcott, if they switch sides, it's frustrating. But he didn't. I don't think he has a relationship at all with Gineppo when they play together.
I'd agree with that, to be honest. I think him and Redmond have quite a good relationship, even if they do bicker on the pitch sometimes.
Funny to watch.
They generally understand each other and play quite well together. But yeah, I think we could do with sort of another player with that kind of level of chemistry in the absence of Redmond.
Yeah.
Armstrong's definitely the better player out of the two.
Agreed.
Within Gineppo.
All right, well, let's move on to what was probably the best game of this game week. Set off by a brilliant own goal was West Brom 0, Leeds 5.
I hope Klopp took notes, because this is how you break down West Brom. Fantastic attacking performance. We know Leeds are capable of doing this. That's why the likes of the entirety of FPL Twitter brought in Rafinha.
I did as well.
You did. I didn't. I thought I'll just keep cool and see how it pans out. Not very well for me, but I'd like to have Dallas in my team, I have to say. He's not in my team currently. I've just prioritised other transfers, but as a defender in the game that obviously gets points for clean sheets, but also is more than capable of going up the other end and getting an assist or a goal. For the price he is, I think he's potentially a good FPL asset as well as Sky. Typically, we've just discussed him in terms of Sky.
He's been exceptional in Sky for me.
Yeah, yeah. Was it 20 points he got for us?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Obviously got the assist, the clean sheet. I think he got passing tier as well, maybe tackle tier. He did brilliantly. Very, very good Sky player. Worth, if you've not already on him, I think you probably should be. And yeah, like you said, we got some decent returns from, the likes of, I think Harrison, Rodrigo, and Rafinha were all mentioned across the community as cheap options for Leeds, as well as Bamford. And obviously Bamford stepped up with 2 assists, albeit one quite fortuitous. There was, it wasn't given as an assist in Sky, which is understandable because it's one of those kind of deflected assists that then lands at the feet of Alioski, who smashes it in. But we got lucky and we got 2 assists from him.
Yeah, we did. I was relieved to see it given, but I'd have been very angry if I was a non-owner.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I saw so many people. Obviously, when you see official FPL tweet it and they're like, assist 2BC or no assist. So many people were like, that's surely a Bamford assist. That's a Bamford assist. I don't think either of us really picked up on it until they kind of showed the replay at half time. And then there it was, because I was keeping an eye on this game as well as watching the Saints game. And yeah, I just genuinely hadn't even picked up on the fact that could have been a Bamford assist. Until they showed it again, I thought, oh, maybe. And then when we jumped on Twitter, it was being reviewed and then it was given.
Yeah, thankfully so for us.
Absolutely.
Boona wasn't too pleased, FPL Boona.
No, he wasn't. Inject that, motherfucker. Right, let's move on to the last game of the Tuesday, and that was Man United 1, Wolves 0. This game was going on whilst both me and you were doing an online murder mystery, wasn't it? Which was quite amusing.
It wasn't as random as that sounds.
Oh yeah.
I actually saw the goal. I had put it on for the last 5 minutes. Obviously,
Rashford on the whole time in the background.
You had it on the whole time.
Yeah, because we were on the laptop. We put the laptop on the table, and then I had the game on the TV in the background. So yeah, I don't know if you probably didn't even notice during the murder mystery, but I was kind of consistently looking above the laptop trying to keep an eye on the game.
I wasn't sure. It kind of looked like you were doing that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I was struggling enough to keep an eye on what was going on in the murder mystery.
Yeah, it was difficult. Good fun. It was weird doing it online, but it was cracking fun. I'd recommend it to anyone. But obviously, back to the United game rather than solving murders. And Rashford got another goal. And of course, Bruno Fernandes stepped up and got his assist.
Of course. very, very consistent is Mr. Fernandes. And this would have been one of the games where I potentially would have predicted him to get a blank. Obviously, he was close to blanking.
Very.
But he got the return.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't argue him not being in anyone's team. I think he's an excellent player. There's just a limit to how many premiums you can have, and he's the one that's not in my team.
No, exactly. He's so consistent. And I mean, like you said, he was very close to blanking. Had Rashford's strike not been deflected, I think Patricia probably would have saved it. It completely wrong-footed him. Obviously goes in the back of the net, and then suddenly we're looking at 6 points rather than 2. So 4 points gained, can't complain. And Man United have obviously got some decent fixtures coming up. They now double as well, which is obviously the Liverpool game, the Fulham game. I think that's 2 that you're going to target, as well as they play Villa at home and then Burnley away leading up to that. So good luck, James, without him. Good luck.
Worth mentioning that he obviously Man United now playing the blank game week. So if you're planning to not free in that week, then obviously you're going to be looking at Man U players. And what better player to bring in than Fernandes?
Oh, absolutely.
Personally, I think I've only got about 5 players that play in that game week, so I'm definitely free hitting.
Same.
Unless something goes wrong with COVID, as we know it can.
Well,
I'm going to be free hitting in that week.
Yeah. Let's hope not. Although I wouldn't be pressing that free hit button probably until the first game, because there will genuinely be people that will press it and then start messing around with their team after game week 17. But during the current times, there's I mean, there's 11 days before Man United play from game week 17 to game week 18. Don't press it until the start of the game week, man.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not doing it. I'm leaving it as late as possible. You can play about it with your team
Yeah.
without activating the chip. You
Yeah,
can
just don't
do your
activate
transfers, but not actually confirm them. You don't need to activate it straight away.
God, no. If I see anybody in the community moaning that they've free hit it already and then suddenly, COVID strikes and a couple of teams miss out, then it's your own fault because we're in unprecedented times. The last thing you want to be doing is going early on these kind of things. Right. And the final game, in a game that we all expected a lot more. Obviously, Captain Salah got fuck all. It was Newcastle 0, Liverpool 0. A mix of both Darlow making some brilliant saves and Liverpool once again being incredibly sloppy.
Sorry, I've sneezed and my stomach's in knots.
That's not something you expect to hear on a podcast. You're right. Right. I'll carry on whilst you're sorting yourself out.
Right, I'm okay now.
Obviously, Robbo got three bonus points, which was nice to see, given I brought him in on my wild card. One of probably the only real positives of this game, in my opinion. I thought Salah missed a couple of good chances. There was two where he went through on goal that I thought he's put in this bottom corner, and both went wide. It was odd to see from Liverpool, to see them so kind of just sloppy in front of goal, like to not be as clinical. I mean, it's 2 points dropped, and that could be crucial towards the end of the season. I mean, the way they occasionally play, I think they'll still run away with it. But to drop 2 points away to Newcastle, nobody expected it.
I was very disappointed in Salah, to be honest. I think that chance where he did the hard bit, he took on a player, took it round him, and then just fizzed it just past the post.
Yeah.
That chance in particular was just agonising. The finish, yeah, and then another finish. I think he was quite far off. It was quite a bad.
That was terrible, really bad.
Yeah, very unlike him. But he still looks like he's going to return each game. So I feel like I'm inclined to go with the captaincy of him again.
Yeah.
Whereas people may not do, because obviously he's disappointed at West Brom, he's disappointed at Newcastle. I myself didn't own him for West Brom, so I don't have that kind of conflict in my head.
No.
I feel like he will return the next game.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's away against us, isn't he? So inevitably, he's probably going to score against us. I'm very reluctant to captain him. For me, I think the potential best captaincy options are either Kane or Son or Bruno. Obviously, home to Leeds and then home to Villa, respectively. But yeah, I think there will genuinely be a lot of people that captain Salah.
Yeah, no, as you'd expect. It's a good fixture for them. Obviously, it is us. So it makes it a little bit harder to do. Captain against your own team, but I think it's a good captain pick.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously in the Sky game, he'll be incredibly, probably captained by most because it's the only Monday night game that game week. So if you're on Liverpool assets, which many of us are, Salah's probably going to be the biggest captaincy. And if you're not on him, not having him for that night, that evening, you might end up suffering quite badly in terms of your rank.
I think so. And speaking of Sky, shall we talk about how well you're doing recently?
Yeah, it's not been a bad period for me in Sky over the break. Obviously, we had the issue with the Man City game being postponed, and obviously Chelsea, Zuma being rested, which was frustrating. Fortunately, I don't actually own any Spurs assets in my main team at the moment. But yeah, I'm sat 101st in the overall game with my main team. Still got 24 transfers, so I think that's pretty good position. 3 million in the bank. My biggest question at the moment is Cancelo or De Bruyne. You know, this whole COVID thing with Man City, we don't really know names, but Cancelo's rumoured to be one of them. So I might look to move Cancelo on potentially to a Vardy if I can afford it. I just need to look at the prices and obviously the implications of that moving forward for fixtures. But yeah, really enjoying being 101st at the moment. And then in my second team, it might be 771st. So it's not bad. I have used 19 transfers. I've got 21 left, but it's still in the cup, as we touched on earlier. I'm through again, which has taken me by massive surprise. I think I'm into the final 128 people left in this. There's one, two, including this week, there's 6 weeks left until the final. I'm loving it. I'm making moves, as and when I need to. Doing quite well. I'm against a team called Fergie Time from a player called Stuart Bullow. So if there's a Stuart Bullow out there,
I saw that on Twitter. Someone saying their team name's called Fergie Time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a look for that then, because
search, yeah,
that's who I'm against. So that'll be fun. But yeah, no, really enjoying Sky. It's not how I expected I'd be. I enjoy planning, but I was worried I wouldn't have the time for it. But the moves I'm making at times, it's paying off. And yeah, to be 101st with 24 transfers left at this stage of the season, I think it puts me in quite a good position. I just really hope I don't fuck it up.
No, you're in a fantastic position. You could potentially even go on to win it.
Mate, can you imagine 50k? Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that'd be amazing.
One can dream, eh? One can dream.
The podcasting equipment you'd be able to buy with that would be. I'm joking.
The audio quality, yeah, mate. The audio quality of this podcast would shoot up. That's for sure.
We'd have mics.
Yeah, exactly. How are you enjoying Sky? I know that you're struggling a little bit in terms of rank, but are you still enjoying kind of getting to know the game and learning a bit about the game?
Very much so. So yeah, I'm not doing as well as I'd imagined, but I am still enjoying it. So my worst team is I think it's about, let's have a look. It's 23,000. So it's actually improved because it was about 26, 27,000. With 23 transfers left in that one.
Nice.
And 23 transfers left in my other team, which is 7K. So more of my attention goes onto the 7K team. However, I think the other one's creeping up on the other team. So
you're going to start overtaking dead teams. There's going to be a lot of them now. And if you make some quite risky moves that maybe pay off, you could see that rank shoot up, mate.
I think so. I mean, I'm doing the punts with the team one, so the one that's lower ranked, and then sort of being a bit more conservative with my choices in the team that's doing better.
Yep.
I'm going to keep playing it, and I'm really enjoying the game. The tiers, it adds a whole new sort of dynamic to FPL that you don't really have with the official game.
Oh, massively. I downloaded SofaScore purely because of the Sky game, and I just keep an eye on, the passing tiers and how many tackles have they got, and yeah.
Is there an app for that, or is it just a?
Yeah, if you go onto the App Store and just type in SofaScore, yeah, there's an app for it.
Well, that sounds like an ad, but I genuinely just want to download it.
Yeah, no, it's really useful. It's really good.
Yeah, cool.
Obviously, with the fixture rearrangement that we've seen, obviously they've now put the Man City game into the double, and the Man United game is now moved into the blank game week. In Sky particularly, I think a lot of people were going to do the hokey cokey with Bruno, because you were potentially looking at a 3-for-1 from Leicester, I think for Kane as well. But you're not going to get that now because that Man United Burnley fixture's gone in there, and you're not going to want to miss that. So if you were reluctant to move off Fernandes before that, and you were worried about, I'll hold him for the Liverpool game, he could return, you're definitely not going to sell him now. And I mean, his ownership is honestly fucking ridiculous. It's 99.3% of the top 1K teams own him. So if he holds big in that Burnley game, he'll be the captaincy choice. And if you don't have him, you're fucked.
Yeah, no, pretty blunt, but I think that is the case.
Yeah, 100%.
For those levels of ownership.
Massively. Right, we'll quickly move back onto FPL because I saw that you skimmed over FPL quite quickly. And is there a reason why you've done that, mate?
Not consciously, but yeah, a very bad performance from my team this week. 26 points. So let me give you a rundown of how shit it was. So Martinez on 3, one of the highest scorers. Kyle Walker-Peters on 5. Zuma on 0 because he didn't play. Diaz on 0 because he didn't play. Taylor on 1. because he got injured. Is it? We're going to see a theme here.
There is.
Salah captaincy, 3 double to 6. Grealish on 2. Son on 0 because he didn't play. Bamford on 8. Vardy on 1 because he came on with about half an hour to go. And no points for Kane. So didn't get anyone coming off the bench because they couldn't, because Kufal didn't play, Lookman didn't play, and Guisa didn't play. So, and otherwise normally playing bench became unplayable.
I'm not laughing at you. It's just, it's one of those like unprecedented situations where the blanks that were formed because of COVID like fucked you. And not only did you get that, but then you got benchings, no-shows, and injuries. It's honestly, it's, if you post this and like do a little thread about it on Twitter, guarantee it'll like hit off, because it's one of those FPL horror shows.
Yeah, it all went wrong in the same week, and
It did.
typically it had to be the cup week, the qualification week.
I know.
So I had the worst game week of the season. 6.5k was my game week rank.
You've not even qualified for the cup. That's James.
So three red arrows in a row. I've gone down from about 300k to now just under 800k.
We've effectively swapped positions, because I don't mean to rub it in, but I've taken over you in the league again, and there's been quite some time been waiting for me to do that. Obviously, I played my wild card. And I was quite fortunate in doing so, because, I decided to bring in Kane and Son because of their fixtures. But I got rid of my City assets, which was a big thing. And then, obviously, I brought in triple leads, which really helped, Rafinha, Meslier, Bamford. Brought in Robbo for Liverpool alongside Salah. They got me 15 points between them. Walker, Peters and Loughton both got clean sheets. I managed to get 10 players out in the end. Obviously, I had a non-playing bench. Fofana missed out, Balbuena missed out, Son didn't turn up, and then obviously Kane still in my squad. So 10 players got me 57. Game week rank just over 350k, and I rise to 480k overall now. So I can't complain. I'm still a long way off where I want to be, but it's progress, and it's progress that I want to see. It's now 3 green arrows in a row. So I've gone from 1.2 million to 490k in 3 weeks.
So, yeah, really good performance from your team. It speaks volumes that you wildcarded and then still only had 10 players playing.
Yeah.
That's how bad these postponements and injuries have been.
Oh, exactly. It's been a fuck fest of a game week. It's hit a lot of people hard. You're not the only one that I've seen, on Twitter with a really tough score to take, whereas quite a lot of us wildcarders, in a sense, profited because of that. But it could have gone the other way. Could have very easily, there was rumours that the Liverpool game was potentially, off. And if that had happened, then would have just kicked off massively.
I'd have had even less points.
Exactly. Oh, man. But yeah, FPL is a tricky one now, because obviously following the blanks and doubles, Man City now double. And that's not a double that any of us were expecting. I took out my Man City assets because they were only playing once, and now they play twice, and arguably I think they've got the best double game week now. Obviously they've got 2 home fixtures in Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, so between them and West Ham, I think probably the best options. And now I don't know what to do, because I'll probably move Son on to KDB, but I'm going to have to take a hit, because I'll, to be fair, we spoke off air, and I actually forgot. Again, I'm going to blame the lack of sleep, but you only get 1 transfer available after you've played that free hit in game week 18. So for obviously the bench boost in game week 19, most of us are going to have to take a hit if we're bench boosting, if we want these City assets in.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be taking a hit to do the downgrade to get either Bruno Fernandes or KDB. So I'll be taking out probably Grealish and then Harry Kane, downgrade him to some striker around 7-8 mil, and then I'll be able to do that. But yeah, there's no way around it really with doing the free hit. You kind of have to do that -4 if you don't have the direct funds. I mean, I don't want to be taking out Salah, so that's what I have to do.
No, exactly. I need to figure out what I want to do, because ideally, I really wanted double City for this game, and it's going to take a -8 to do. And do I really want to take a -8 in a double game week? No, probably not. So it might end up being that I kind of maybe downgrade Fofana to then use the funds to upgrade Son. I'm honestly not sure. It's gonna take some thinking. Thankfully, obviously, we've got a bit of time. Really, I should be making a move this week, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to have a think tomorrow before the games and see where it really ends up. But whether I just slack it off because I'm quite happy with my team this week and then take the hit, you'll have to find out. I don't even know myself.
I'm sure we'll put our thoughts on Twitter. Shall we now talk about the game that isn't affected by COVID? ChampMan.
Yes, the game that's saving us all. And I'll let you go first because you had a better game week than me.
I did. I'm quite relieved to talk about this. It was a nice relief after the shit show of FPL. So 62 points for me. I brought in Jason Yule for Savarese, which was a good move because I captained Yule, and he got me 8 points, double to 16.
Match Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, I was brave to avoid Van Nistelrooy, but obviously I still own him, but I wanted to captain someone else. In the end, it actually made no difference. Sullivan in goal, 7 points. Ashley Cole, Hippier and Tome on 4, 5 and 7 points respectively.
Not bad.
GX on 2, Kuehl on 3. Is it, which I'm delighted with, got 10.
Yeah, very good.
Very happy with that. I was questioning why I even, I don't know, played him until near the end. And then obviously the goal came in and I was like, that's why.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 points for Hughes, which is a little bit disappointing, but we'll touch on that. One of the questions about Hughes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Where are you overall now?
Overall, it's a small green arrow, but I'm up to 625.
Okay.
From 688. I'm now sat on 463 points. Obviously, I've not used any of my chips other than my wild card, so I've still got 2 free hits and a triple captain to go, and so on. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to. I think I'm in a good position to attack the next few weeks as well.
I think that's the main thing. The word enjoyment there. That's all this game is. Obviously, unfortunately, we saw Irons kind of not attend the stream. I feel sorry for you, mate. I know exactly how you feel in terms of losing your cat. So thoughts are with you, mate. But obviously, we saw James step up to the plate, brought back some memories of last season, and that was enjoyable to see. And yeah, it was just another really, really fun game week. I saw 56 points this week, which is good, but bloody frustrating because I stupidly played Morris instead of Hughes from Charlton, despite the data clearly showing that Charlton were, the better option. So I don't even know why I did that. Jaskalainen was a bit of a surprise. Obviously, he's on my bench. He got 11 points, an away haul, essentially. Whereas obviously Sullivan only got 7, so that was quite frustrating. One chop, fucking, gotten sent off. I thought, I expected maybe a goal from him. Nah, -2. So that was fun. And then I kind of lost 4 points by gambling on going Viduka over Van Nistelrooy. But like you said, it was probably the week to do it. So I can't really complain. I'm on 56 points for the week, and I am currently sat 98th overall. So still top 100. A little red arrow from 72nd down in 98th, but again, thoroughly enjoying it. Way more than I did last season in terms of rank wise, because I really struggled to get my head around the concept of the game last season. Whereas, the streams and stuff are really helping. Doing obviously this pod, the more analysis that we have to do, I think that's really helping. So yeah, really, really enjoying it. And obviously it's a positive to take. We don't have COVID problems in ChampMan. So you grab a beer, enjoy the stream and the madness that comes with it, don't we?
Oh, we certainly do. I've been loving it, to be honest. I think it was great that James stepped in last minute. I look forward to seeing Irons back next week as well. Finding all's okay.
Yeah.
I've got 2 cats myself. love them to bits. So I know obviously it's a tough thing to go through.
Absolutely.
But yes, just such a release is that stream on a Thursday or a Wednesday in this case. Just great. A couple of hours just to completely just enjoy that, really.
Exactly. You can just sit back, relax, have a beer, and then watch Mode and Irons kind of do their thing on the stream. And the community behind ChampMan is brilliant. It's been exceptional through lockdown. Obviously we've been in lockdown since March, really, with a brief period of being able to go outside occasionally. But ChampMan's been really consistent. And then obviously when it came back, I'm glad that so many people got behind it again. And once again, it's proven how brilliant a game it really is.
Yeah, it certainly has. And we've got a few ChampMan questions amongst some other general FPL questions. So I think we should move on to those now.
We do, yeah. Let's jump straight in. So we've got a question in from FPL Dempsey regarding Sky. So with the fixture chaos and so many single game captaincies to cover, how do you plan on keeping hold of a sensible number of transfers but maintaining a strong position on the other hand?
Thankfully, I have a decent amount of transfers left, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm also going to make an effort to be not to be too reactive. Like this game week, I was very tempted to bring in a Liverpool player ahead of their game against Newcastle. Couldn't afford the defenders, but I was tempted to try and take a punt on Firmino, who's obviously been in form. I already own Salah. But thankfully, I kind of stayed away from that. And after the game finished 0-0, I'm kind of glad I saved that transfer. So it's quite easy to sort of get lulled into just one particular fixture. But unless you're really captaining a player that you don't already own, I don't think it's worth it.
No, I think, you've hit the nail on the head there. In my cup team, I was very tempted to bring in Mane. But again, I'm glad I'm not. It's my cup team, so I can burn transfers. But it would have been, one of those reactive moves that wouldn't have paid off. And you mentioned that the fixture chaos. I think it's been helped a little bit by obviously the original game week 1 fixtures that were postponed being brought into the game now. So effectively, it's almost saving a transfer again with a Bruno hokey cokey. You're kind of saving 2 transfers there. It depends on the moves that you want to make to cover captaincies. But I think Arsenal at the moment are still probably the only captaincies that I don't really have covered for their single game weeks. So it's one to look at. I think Gabriel might be back from COVID this weekend against West Brom, but I'd need to double check that. But if so, he's probably the one that most people want to jump on in terms of Arsenal defensively for that. But
it's for me as well.
Yeah.
So do let me know if you get any news on that one.
No, I'll keep an eye, that's for sure. But I think you've hit the nail on the head in terms of not being too reactive, particularly during these times. You want to wait until, obviously we get the team sheet for the first fucking game of the week. You kind of want to make sure you've seen that first and then maybe make your moves. And it gives you enough time to even see the embargoed kind of press conferences. As much information as you can get is probably key, obviously trying to maintain that strong position before the overhaul.
I think so. So second question, I'll ask this one for you, Matt. Comes from Craig Kemp. Is there anything you pay closer attention to now than you did during season 1 or even the start of this season? I'll aim that question to you because obviously I've only started this season. Craig says his exact position of defenders and strikers for individual matchups is something he considers. So, like, Viduka is the only premium striker that plays on the right of a front two. I don't know if you consider things like that as well.
It's a really good question. The general lineup thing is not something I necessarily consider, but I pay way more attention to the data that's out there. It's not something that I really took full advantage of last season. And it's brilliant that we've got members of the community, including Craig himself, does brilliant short pods about ChampMan. But, obviously we've got the CM Fantasy is out there. I'm in Disabled's Discord. And again, there's so many people out there that do sim data that just really helps. If you're an active player, the data's there if you want it and if you want to see it and be available. So when I get that data, I then start making notes myself and kind of keeping track. And obviously I'll discuss things with you. But for me, that's probably the main thing is keeping an eye on the data that's out there. And I'll watch the streams. If I can't watch them live, I'll watch them again, and I'll look at, shot conversion. And even if one chop had a blank, I'll notice that, he had 6 shots on target, so it was a good move. So I won't criticize the move that I made. It's just, the outcome wasn't as we expected. But yeah, for me, definitely taking way more note of the data that's out there. It's been the biggest thing for me. Obviously, I think down to the nitty gritty, people like Craig are exceptional at looking down to that. And I still don't think I'll ever understand the game as much as these guys do in terms of, the individual matchups. But I definitely appreciate the data a lot more.
Yeah, there's a lot of great data out there. I myself brought in Yule off the back of sim data, and that worked for me this week. So I'll continue to keep watching the same resources that people put out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've got a couple of questions in from Stian Denstad. So good to see you again, mate. First question, it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on a one-chop replacement. I was looking at Savarese, but those fixtures are pretty bad.
Yeah, I had Savarese for his good spell, but I took him out recently because of that. Great for them for the next 3-4 fixtures. They're away or facing tough opposition. So I'll be looking at Kevin Campbell or even Kyle Court, providing no one pushes him out of a place at Newcastle.
No, that's true. Yeah, I think they're probably 2 very feasible options. There's some good players at very easy price points to get to, obviously from one chop. We'll have to see from the stream what game week he then obviously takes his ban from. Inevitably, it's going to be a 3-game ban because I think, it was a straight red card for basically strangling Hippier, wasn't it? So we'll have to keep an eye. But yeah, I think probably Kevin Campbell, Kyle Court, 2 very good options there. Both, have had returns recently. You could maybe look elsewhere depending on whether you want it to go up or down, but it really depends on your budget, mate. But I think, James, as James says, my preference there, Kevin Campbell, potentially. He looks to be, I know form isn't really a thing, but Everton's fixture still very good, so jump on him. Second question from Stian Denstadt was, do we need to talk about Stephen Hughes?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think he's gone off the boil a little bit recently. However, home game against Blackburn next, I don't think I'll be taking him out ahead of that fixture.
Nah.
So I'd be inclined to keep him for that game and then reassess whether you want him in your team after that game week. I'd save yourself the headache, unless there's someone you particularly want to bring in. And even so, I think with that home fixture, it's just not a good move to take him out.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because obviously it's the home away rotation constantly, at least up until game week 18. But again, it's been spoken about before. He's in that field of those kind of £7 to £8 million midfielders that if you get on the right one at the right time, brilliant. Like I've done really well with Arca, for instance, in the last 2 weeks. But, you could move on to potentially like a Petkov, for instance, who is also the same home away rotation. But then Hughes could go off and Petkov could then blank for the next 3. So it's a real risk. And I think it depends on your strategy as to how you want to tackle that. But he's not one that I'm particularly looking to move off of, mainly because I don't have Newcastle coverage elsewhere.
That's a very good point. Like if you don't own Shearer, then it does make sense to keep him.
Yeah. Right, we got 2 questions in from the legend himself, Luke Disable. So I'll start, obviously, with the Champman question first. Is it time to look at cheaper forwards? Phillips, Henry, Janssen, etc. aren't really doing it. Is there an argument for Ruud van Nistelrooy plus 2 cheap or mid prices? Shearer, perhaps the fly in the ointment?
I think so. I feel like there's some real value in the mids at the moment. Looking at the guys like Zepeda, is it Hughes, even Holland's delivering now occasionally.
Yeah.
I like the flexibility budget-wise that you get with having Ruud van Nistelrooy and 2 cheapies. So I'd be looking at that, to be honest. I think obviously you mentioned Shearer being the fly in the ointment, but if you've got Hughes, you're to some extent covered with that. Obviously, if there's like a Ribeiro assist Shearer goal, then it will hurt you. But I don't think that'll happen more frequently than you think.
Agreed. No, it's actually something that I'm looking at myself because I've got 2 free transfers this week. And obviously at the moment, my kind of front 3 is Viduka, Van Nistelrooy, One Chop. Viduka just isn't really doing it for me at the moment, and it's frustrating spending 13 million on a player that isn't hauling. He then obviously plays Man United away this week, and I'm not expecting returns. So I'm actually looking to probably move him on to a cheaper player and then to upgrade Jody Morris. So, or GX. I'll probably hold GX for now, but I think Morris is the one that I might look to move on potentially to someone like Petkov. So yeah, I think it's a real viable strategy and one that I think I've seen mumblings in the Discord as well being discussed. And I think it's probably the right way to go because if we're at least on 2 or 3 of those, £7 to £8 million midfielders, we've got more of a chance of hitting them at the same time. And obviously, like you said, if say you had Izzet and Arca this week, plus a Brian Hughes, you've holed massively. So it's about being on the right ones at the right time. But the more you've got, the better chance you've got of that. Second question in from Disable was obviously thinking overhaul in Sky will lead to the most people picking up multiple Man City assets. I'm thinking Diaz, Cancelo, Stones, Edison, De Bruyne, even Aguero could all be viable. Yeah, basically the entire Man City squad.
Yeah, they are great fixtures, so it makes sense to be bringing those in.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aguero is one to maybe if they get an early kickoff time and he's starting, then you could pop the captaincy on him and it'd be a good pump. But I'd say until he gets his fitness back, and I'm not sure if you get that kind of early game where you can do that.
Yeah.
I think I'm more inclined with Diaz. Diaz is one I kind of want. Diaz and KDB.
Yeah, because Man City are going to be playing so much, and some of the fixtures post overhaul are quite tricky. I mean, they've got Wolves in there, they've got Man United in there, Leicester, Leeds, but so many of us are going to be jumping on their assets, and obviously we don't have the fixtures at the moment post overhaul. They'll come eventually, but with obviously Man City being in Europe, I fully expect them to have the odd game day where they're probably the best captaincy choice, and most of us are going to be probably wanting at least 3 of them, I'd probably say. At the moment, I'm on 3, KDB, Diaz and Cancelo. Whether that changes moving forward, I'm not sure, but I expect I'll have at least those 3 when it comes around post-overhaul. Right. Final question in from FPL Ray Gooner. So I've been playing very casual in ChampMan this season, and I haven't been able to tune into the streams for the last few weeks. I'm going to activate my wildcard to try and get back on track. Any teams, players you'd recommend targeting?
For me, on a wild card, I'll be looking at Boxic and Southgate. I think they've got a home game next game. Boxic has been excellent so far this season. I think in terms of his price and the amount of points he's getting, I think there's not much better around. And I think Sylvester for Man United is also someone I'd want in there. Just as a consistent starter for Man United, does seem to perform. And obviously Tome is an excellent budget pick for Sunderland. I think when he's at home, he almost every game gets at least 2 bonus, in addition to the clean sheets Sunderland have been picking up as well. So I think I'd be going for those 4 in my wildcard.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. And like we touched on previously with Luke's question, I think maybe the right way to go with your wildcard, mate, would be, RVN to obviously cover off that captaincy and ownership. Unless you're really looking to pile up the ranks, then, it might even be worth taking the punt of going against him, but it'd be a brave man to do so. But yeah, maybe look to the likes of, getting in Petkov, Arca, Stephen Hughes, Tiato, they're all performing at that level as midfield options. And then there's some brilliant assets defensively that James has already touched on, the likes of Emerson Tome, Sylvester, Southgate, they're all brilliant and they're consistently picking up bonus points. So I think it's worth looking at the fixtures on the website, mate, because you can definitely see where the greens are. That the ticker and stuff's brilliant. Keep an eye on that. Maybe make a plan. Definitely watch the stream. It's obviously coming up on, I think it's Sunday this week, just so you get a gist of where players are and fitness wise, and obviously there's always the general discussion about potential players to target, and then obviously feel free to send us any messages, mate. And like I said on Twitter, very happy to answer any DMs. Right, I think that's carry on.
The end of the big. Yeah, we're both saying the same thing at the same time.
As we do.
It's the end of quite a bumper edition of this pod, and I'd like to thank you all for listening. I hope you've enjoyed listening to us for what is quite a long time. But we've covered a lot of information for you. Obviously, there's a lot to think about coming up ahead. If you pop us a question. So I think that closes things off for us. So it's a goodbye from me.
One final thing. Just want to wish everybody a happy new year, because obviously it's been a shit 2020. We're moving into 2021 tonight. It's not going to be amazing to start off, but hopefully you can enjoy tonight, and we'll keep the positive vibes going for the new year. So yeah, it's a bye from me, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers.